The people that were questioning that statement, was it too tough? Maybe it wasn't tough enough. They've been doing this to our country for a long time, for many years. And it's about time that somebody stuck up for the people of this country and for the people of other countries. So, if anything, maybe that statement wasn't tough enough.
All right, that was after a North Korean general put out a statement yesterday that outlined a plan to launch 4 missiles over Japan and into the waters near the U.S. sovereign territory of Guam. All right, he didn't have anything nice to say about Trump. This general said, quote, "Sound dialogue is not possible with such a guy bereft of reason, and only absolute force can work on him." And that general is Charles Schumer. The last line of the statement read, "We keep closely watching the speech and behavior of the U.S." Oh, you watching? The plan to launch the rockets will apparently be presented to Kim Jong-un in mid-August, and he will decide whether to authorize the launch then. I'm sure it's going to be served next to a giant mound of Swiss cheese. How concerned should we be? Let me bring in former CIA officer and host of Buck Sexton with America Now. It's Buck Sexton. Welcome back, Buck.
Thanks for having me.
A lot of people are really freaked out by this. There are people who feel like the president went too far and was declaring nuclear war on North Korea. I'm the kind of person who says that the president was using a really smart psychological strategy. I don't agree with a lot of the stuff he says and does, but I agree here that he saw the language that Kim Jong-un was using and just used it back on him.
Yeah, he's confronting a bully, which is what the Kim regime has always been for its own people, for everyone in the region, and really now everyone all over the world, as these missiles have a longer and longer possible trajectory.
And the warheads, the nuclear warheads, get smaller and smaller and can fit onto the missiles they already have.
So if you're going to confront a bully, you have to actually convince that person, or in this case that state, that you'll throw a punch.
Yeah.
And a lot of the policy vis-a-vis North Korea for years, really for decades now, has been premised on, oh, well, they know that we will escalate and use force if we have to. I actually don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
I believe the Kim regime thinks that they can continue doing exactly what they have been doing, which is swindling us, agreeing to nuclear freezes and then breaking them right away, agreeing to ramp down their rhetoric and then taking food aid or taking whatever it is that they want at any given time. So they're getting closer and closer to what they want. It should be noted that the acceleration in the usage of missiles and also, or in the testing of missiles, and also even the way they speak about Kim Jong-un versus Kim Jong-il versus Kim Il-sung is, this is the military leader, the military option. They're heading towards an actual conflict with South Korea based on the propaganda. So the timeline is not in our favor here. That's a big part of why the government's
and that's
freaked
a really important part of this story, because a lot of the solutions that the people have suggested take too much time to implement because it is an accelerated timeline. But there's also, you know, there are two sides to the story. One is that it almost seems like North Korea wants a conflict. Why would they want a conflict?
Oh, no. North Korea absolutely wants a conflict.
Why though?
Because the entire legitimacy of the state is premised upon reuniting the Korean Peninsula, which means taking South Korea and making it part of North Korea. I mean, they're saturated with propaganda about this. By the way, we always think of Kim regime as being so crazy and insane, and it is.
That's the other thing.
It is to an extent, but also there is some support among the North Korean people. Part of brainwashing is that, in fact, you have been hardwired to think a certain way about some issues, and they do believe that they are under siege from the rest of the world. They do believe,
especially from the West, particularly from the United States, that attack is imminent, and the United States, the imperialists, are going to invade their country. Therefore, they have no choice but to defend themselves.
That's exactly right. They think they're standing up to imminent annihilation if they don't continue to expand their nuclear program, reunite the Korean Peninsula. And there's also a crisis of legitimacy happening here, because that's always been the promise now for decades of the North Korean state to its people. And South Korea is prosperous enough, and there's enough connectivity between those two states that people say, well, if South Korea is so bad, why are they so much richer than us? If South Korea is so bad, why do their people seem like they're kind of happy? You've been telling us they're not happy for a long time. The fuse on that is running out as well, and if North Korea is going to continue to tell its people, we're the real Korea, these are the puppet, apostate, tools of the Americans, at some point the people might start to decide that they're not going to stand for this anymore. And that, when you have regime legitimacy and state stability in question, is when scary stuff happens. So whether he's rational or not rational, if all of a sudden it looks like the whole state's going to collapse, you got nukes, you've got a whole theory based around attacking and then consolidating, you could have a nuclear exchange. That's why everyone's so worried. So it's not going to happen in the next few weeks, but we are heading towards something like that.
That is a stinky box of kimchi.
It is indeed.
Thank you so much, Buck Sexton.
Thank you.
Great having your insight.